Hey,
Hey,
hey, hey. Welcome to the Focused and Fulfilled podcast with the Busy Boss Mamas. I'm Stephanie Mitchell and
and
my
I'm
lovely
Crystal
sister.
Ferguson.
We are super excited to be with you today. It's been a minute since we did an episode. I was traveling, and so that was a nice little break, but we're getting back at it here. So today we just have a practical topic that we all have to deal with on a daily basis, and that is meal planning strategies. So there's a bajillion meal planning strategies, but we were talking today and we're like, man, we should just kind of share the meal planning strategy that works for us. So we do it a little bit differently, but I've found finally, like, I've tried lots of different meal planning strategies throughout my mothering years of 18 years, and I found something that works for me. And I don't know about you, but if you find a system that works in your life, whether it's a chore system, whether it's like a discipline technique, whether it's a way that you do your budgeting, whatever it is, if you find something that works as a mom, stick to it. Like, don't fix it if it isn't broken. And
Yeah,
if you
don't let
need to
somebody
switch,
talk you into a fancy meal planning something if you've already got something working.
right, like anything it is, if you find something that works for you, just stick to it. So, and I know that. So when I find something that works for me in any area of my life, I don't change it. I have a few things in my life that I do a certain way. And I feel like as moms, we have plenty of things that we feel like we need to improve, right? Like we need better tips on this or we need better tips on that. But if you have something that's working, stick with it. So I found a meal planning strategy that works really well for me, and so has Crystal. So we're going to share that with you today. And hopefully, one thing I think that meal planning has so many benefits, right? I mean, how often do you sit at dinner time and you're like, I don't even know what I'm making for dinner tonight? And then that results in you having to run to the store 100 times in the week. So now you've blown your grocery budget, your meal, your cooking takes forever, or you end up in the fast food line to pick up dinner. And that sucks. Nobody wants to do that when they're not planning on it. So meal planning has loads and loads of benefits. And as moms of 6 kids, we've had to get good at it because it's not only like a little bit of money to go get everybody dinner.
Yeah, and especially these days. And I'm up in Washington and a stinking McDonald's meal is $15 a piece. It used to be like
Right.
restaurant prices. That's now drive-through prices. And
I know.
yeah, well, and I don't want to be eating that kind of stuff
I don't
anyway.
want to be eating.
Yeah, I don't want to eat stuff. And the kids have, everybody these days is allergic to something. The kids, I know everybody's like, it's so cliche, but they're allergic to the bread. There's something, it's got to be the preservatives in it because I make my own bread and the kids don't have any issues. But
Right.
when they do eat it, I have a son who gets like stomach issues, and my daughter, she gets these bumps all over her arms. When she says she
I have
puts
a son that has
really
that,
bad
and that
mood.
probably is what he eats, but I
Yeah,
don't think he'll change what he eats. So
yeah,
teenagers.
yeah.
So anyway,
Anyway, so like meal planning really helps with stuff like that too. Like if you've got food allergies or, the prices are a big, for some people they're a big deal. Food planning really helps, but mostly I like food planning because then I know what to expect. For,
exactly. Anytime, I feel like it's just one more thing that clogs your brain with decisions. And we've talked about that before.
yeah,
The more your brain has to compute things, the less patience you have, the less willpower you have for anything. So if you can just eliminate that decision of what to cook for dinner, it's a huge deal. Because
yeah,
if I don't know what's for dinner tonight, it's really kind of in the back of my mind all day, kind of stressing me out. Like, oh, I'm busy. I don't have time to think about it right now. And then inevitably I end up having to go to the store. And I hate that. Like I hate those weeks where I feel like I'm living at the store and everything's just, it's just such a waste of time and money. So what I've done is, for a long time, I would just like sit down every 2 weeks or every week and I would plan out what we were going to do for dinner for that grocery run essentially. And then I'd go grocery shopping for whatever I had planned out. But I found that even that was taking a lot of time. And I think we all end up cooking the same general few meals over and over again. So what I finally did a couple years ago, and it really, really works well for me, is I go and I printed out a blank calendar just from somewhere on the internet. And I just filled in like 4 weeks of meals that are the common ones that we eat. And my husband, like, he loves Taco Tuesday. So every Tuesday is some taco variation. I'm not a huge fan of tacos, so I don't want to do them every Tuesday, but I'll have like tacos one week, and the next Tuesday it'll be like taco soup, and the next Tuesday will be um chili, and then the next weekend will be like a
It's
different kind of taco
Mexican
soup
food
or
on
something.
Tuesday.
Yeah, like chicken tortilla soup or something like that. And so yeah, so we just alternate that way. And then um Crystal and I, we both usually don't eat meat on Fridays. So Fridays is breakfast for dinner or bean
Or
burritos or whatever.
broccoli cheddar soup.
Fish.
Yeah, I do mine a little bit differently. I still do the 2 week thing, except for I keep a folder and a list of the most common meals you make. And the folder has the recipes of those meals that my family likes, and they're always a hit. And then, you know, and also, you know, which ones have leftovers and which ones don't. And if the kids like the leftovers, it goes into that folder. If they don't like the leftovers, they can go in my when I feel inclined to make something totally different, then I'll put them back in the normal case. But I do mine just that way, and I still do only the 2 weeks thing, but then I just look back at what we had the last week, and if there's something we want to eat off that, or I go through my little folder and pick out the recipes I want, and I clip them with my list on the fridge, so I don't have to go and search for those recipes again. So I have
So
them
you take the recipes out of your folder and put them with your list on the fridge.
on the fridge.
Oh,
So
that's smart.
So when I go to the fridge, like I just made chicken Vesuvio, and I had to go and know what I needed to take out of the freezer. And it was just sitting right there. I don't have to go.
What is chicken Vesuvio?
It's like a lemonish chicken, like with a creamy sour sauce. I don't know, something I found
That sounds good.
sounded good. The kids weren't.
Crystal finds the most random cool recipes. Like, she's a really good recipe finder.
Well,
I'll have to try that.
I had to because I'm a terrible cook. So it makes me a better cook.
No, you're not.
Well,
yeah, I'm not a throw together cook person either. I can find a good recipe and I can tweak a good recipe, but I'm not so good at just throwing stuff together. So,
you're good at that.
And I like, huh?
I said, if you're somebody who's good at that, you should do that for your like leftover night, which I think you're about to go into.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like to plan a leftover night too, unless it's a week that I know we're not going to have a lot of leftovers, but I like to plan a leftover night. And I also like to correlate the meal nights, like what we're eating, with my schedule. And I look at that ahead of time so that if I know, like, so there's a couple nights a week that I know I'm going to work because we do school during the day and then I go work on our business stuff in the evening. And that means the kids are going to I either have to have something in the Instant Pot or the crock pot pre-prepped, or the kids are going to need to do it themselves, or it's going to be a leftover thing. Right. So I try to plan those. I try to plan the nights that I'm going to have to like actually put a lot of effort into cooking on the nights that I know I'm not going to be gone and I'm going to not have a bunch of other things going on. So you have to kind of just see what makes most sense with your schedule and plan ahead. And it makes things so much easier. I know a lot of people who like meal prep on Sunday. I think our other sister does that. And that's a nice idea, but like I said, you find what works for you. That doesn't work for me. Like, the weekends are too busy for me. I don't have 3 hours to prep my meals for the week.
Yeah, I don't meal prep. I wish I was a meal prepper, but I'm not. And like, I don't have enough oomph to want to do it bad enough.
Exactly.
I do.
I probably just never will.
Yeah, I probably won't be. And I'm not going to kick myself about it either. So if you're not a meal prepper, then don't kick yourself about it. If you are a meal prepper, like, really, kudos to you. I genuinely mean that. That is really awesome. And I would like to be
Exactly.
that person, but I never will be. And this is what does work for me. As long as I have all the ingredients and I know what we're set up for. And like Steph said, coordinating it with our schedule. Like when my husband goes out of town, I put frozen food on the list, like frozen pizzas or frozen stir fry or, things that I can pop in easily because I know I'll have nights that are a little bit more
Hectic.
hectic, mainly because I get lazy about cooking when he's gone. Like when he's gone,
Right.
like 5 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta feed these guys. I don't have to actually cook though, because my husband's not here. And the kids are perfectly fine with like smoothies and peas or whatever. But, like,
Potatoes.
yeah. So I plan that too. And if you're a food prepper or you're a foodie, I know a lot of foodies don't necessarily like making menu plans because they're like, but I want to be spontaneous and do this. Well, factor in like some nights for spontaneity, which I know
Right.
sounds spontaneous, but you can rearrange your list. It's not set in stone. So if you decide one night you have this
Yeah.
amazing recipe that you have to try out, well, throw it on there. Cut something else
Yeah.
out.
And there is built-in flexibility. And one other thing that I've started doing is making sure that I always have ingredients on hand for easy
Yes.
hits, like
The
spaghetti. Like
figure
I'm
it
sure
out
I
night.
always have stuff. Huh?
I call them
Figure
figure
it out
it
night.
out nights.
Yeah. Like I know that if I'm in a pinch and I forgot something at the grocery store or whatever, like I always have the stuff for spaghetti or um, taco soup's a big easy one here. Like
Yeah.
everybody loves it. It takes 15 minutes to make it.
Yeah. We
I
have
mean, it's
baked
not,
potatoes. That's our
yeah,
go-to here.
baked potatoes is a
Baked
big one.
potatoes.
Yeah. And then like this week on my menu, I just threw in like a try something new night because I have a bunch of recipes that I saved that I haven't tried yet or recipes I've saved in on my phone or whatever. And so I put that in there. And then when I find a recipe that I like, I just write it on the bottom of my meal calendar and then I can just rotate it in. So
Yeah.
that's been the thing that's worked the best for me out of every meal planning technique I've created is just to take the thinking out of it and just go back to like, okay, these are what we always make. And then if you however often you do your grocery shopping, put all the ingredients for those things on there, and then you have all the stuff. So,
Yes.
one other thing that I think is helpful that I don't do as often as I should is like the online grocery shopping because I find that I spend way, way less money if I just sit down with my grocery list and my recipes and do my shopping online and go pick it up.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I don't
and
want
Crystal just
the end
discovered,
cap. I said, I
yes,
just don't
because I
want
buy
plus
all the
the end
extra things.
cap and buy all the extra stuff. Well, I need 10 items because then I get $10 off. So I have to find 10 items that I need.
Exactly. For real. Or you're like, oh, that looks good. I haven't tried that. Let me just grab that. And Crystal, talk about what you just found out with the Walmart thing. I'm not a huge fan of Walmart. Just throw that out there first. But Crystal found something really cool about Walmart grocery pickup.
Yeah, that they will deliver if you sign up to have a Walmart subscription, I guess. Walmart, I don't know, probably Walmart Plus or something like that, because that's what everything's called. Where you sign up and it's like 20 bucks a month or 25 bucks a month or something. And they'll deliver your groceries for free like multiple times. You can just call them or do online and they'll deliver them for free to your door
Which I thought I was like, oh,
anytime.
that's kind of cool. But like the Kroger does that too. But then she said it's anytime. So if you forget something and you're like, oh, dang it, I gotta go get garlic. Like
Yeah.
you could just order it and they would drop it off that day before dinner. I'm like, that's cool. Like that could easily be worth 25 bucks a month because I don't know about you, but if I go to the store an extra few times a month, which so one time a week, I am going to spend way more than that. I guarantee you.
Thousands of dollars. And I don't know how it adds up to that, but somehow it does.
I
Even
know.
if I'm not buying, it seems like not buying excess stuff. I must be buying enough excess stuff to make up for it at some point. I don't know
Yeah.
because we don't. And quickly, we should talk about lunch and breakfast. I gotta be honest, I don't
Okay.
really eat breakfast and I feed the kids oatmeal.
I don't
And
either.
most of them don't like oatmeal, so most of them choose to skip breakfast.
Don't eat.
They just don't.
We're not big on breakfast here. Well, sometimes, yeah, I guess the kids eat breakfast kind of. It's hit or miss. Sometimes they eat it, sometimes they don't. But what were you going to say about it?
I was
About
just gonna,
breakfast and lunch? I'm bad about planning those.
yeah, I'm bad about planning them, but like if I have bread, they'll all eat toast, which drives me nuts because then they want 20 pieces of toast. But with
Right.
the or cold cuts and a string cheese is good. Or I have to do like plain yogurt with the kids because most of them won't eat plain yogurt. But if I have sweet yogurt, they'll demolish the whole thing in without everybody even
I know
getting.
what I've had to Yeah,
So
what I've had to do with the yogurt is I buy the bigger things of it. I'll buy like a plain and then like a strawberry, and then I have to pre-mix the whole thing. So it's got
yeah,
less sugar. So half the sugar, they'll eat it. But if I don't pre-mix it before they get their hands on it, they'll eat all the
they eat the whole
strawberry one.
thing. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I have two kids who will actually eat the plain yogurt, but they don't eat a ton of it. So I'm like, okay, that's a win. Like you can have a little bit and I'll let them have a little bit of berries and that's good. But so for breakfasts, if your kids absolutely have to have breakfast, I would suggest cold cuts and like cheese or oatmeal. And one thing with mine, which I know it bugs my sisters. I just don't care if they choose not to eat. I just don't care if they don't eat. And I have a child who she's very finicky and I offer her food. She has the option of eating all day, but she doesn't want to eat in the morning. And sometimes she doesn't like my options for lunch, which are very scant as well. But she doesn't want to eat them. And I'm like, well, I better see you eating at dinner. And my son, when he doesn't like to eat stuff, he's like, can I have a glass of milk? So we always have milk. And
Yeah.
just like they're not dying. We don't have a lot of snacks though. If you're somebody who really likes snacks, but you're driven nuts by the snacks, get rid of the snacks. They aren't hungry. My 4-year-old, when I have snacks around, they aren't. That's all he asks
I
for
know.
all dang day is the snacks. And it's because they're
Yep.
bored. It is not because they are
Yep.
hungry. They are not hungry and they shouldn't be growing plumper. Like maybe I shouldn't say that, but they shouldn't be.
Right. We're not a snack family at all. Like when
No, we
their kids
don't.
come over, they're like, can we have a snack? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we don't do snacks here. Like,
Yeah.
the kitchen closes between meals. Like, my kids eat plenty of food. If they want 3 meals a day, they get 3 meals a day. If they want 2 meals
Yeah.
a day, they get 2 meals a day. We
Yes.
don't do snacks.
No, no snacks. They are always offered breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They are welcome to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're always welcome to the milk. But they can't just be snacking because they'll do it
Yeah, I
all
just
day
don't, just
long.
because it's like, yeah, because our grocery bill is already as much as our mortgage. And um, they could just eat snacks. Like, it's just pointless. They would just
I mean,
eat them
even
just to eat
when I
them.
get cereal, they're all of a sudden hungry all day long. All day long. The
Yeah.
4-year-old's constantly because I'm doing school with the other 5, and the 4-year-old, he's bored and he'll play for a little bit and then he'll come over and then he'll ask for snacks all morning long. He'll be like, can I have cereal? And if I give him cereal, this is when I have cereal. Then he'll ask for 20 bowls of cereal, which he just wants to eat it because cereal is so sugary. So I don't really buy
Yeah.
cereal because they just plow through it
Yeah.
like because it is candy, it's crispy candy. And he just wants to eat. I allow them an apple a day. They can only have one apple a day because I'll tell you, those bags go by so fast if you just let them have as many as they want. So
Right.
when we have fruit and I let them have as many carrots as they want, we always have carrots, but they don't always want to like peel them and wash them. So
Right.
I always have that kind of stuff for them, but they don't always want it. But it's okay if they're hungry. It's just okay to be hungry. I think people have this idea that it's not okay to be hungry. If they don't want to eat, they don't need to eat. They're not
Right.
going to starve to death. They'll be offered more food again in 2 hours. And they
Right. We
shouldn't.
just saved you a lot of money.
We just saved you a lot of money. Your kids should not, and I am not very apologetic. They should not be snacking all day. It is very unhealthy for them. And they are bored.
Right.
So send them off to play.
Right.
Send
Right.
them.
So,
Yeah. Poor Theo. He's always gone. I always am yelling, like, you're just bored. You've asked me for 4 snacks in the past 5 minutes.
right. Yeah, it's just well, and for me, it ends up being just such a waste of time with school when they want to, if they want to go snack. I'm like, there's not time. Like, we just ate. You're done. You're done until lunch. Like, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. You'll
So
be fine.
anyway,
I'm starving. I'm all of a sudden starving. I'm like, you weren't starving 5 minutes before I told you to start school, and you insisted you were not hungry. And I said, I'm going to start school in 5 minutes. You're not going to eat after that. You should hurry and eat if you are hungry. And then they all of a sudden die of starvation 5 minutes later.
right.
School starts. So they're not hungry. They're lazy little liars who don't want to eat. You just want to eat.
Little liars.
They are. They're coming up
Oh
with every
my
little
gosh.
excuse in the world to get out of doing. I'm sorry, that drives me nuts. The being pestered for snacks all day long pesters me. I'm like, we don't do snacks, but here's your lunch. Do you want some lunch? I have ham. Cheese sticks. I welcome him to the cheese sticks all day long. I guess those are snacks, but I do offer those instead of. I don't give them crackers. We don't have crackers and fruit snacks. And if
Right.
we ever do get fruit snacks, it's like, that's a dessert.
Yep. It's a dessert.
Yeah.
Well, I think I already shared all my meal planning tips. Do you have
Yeah,
anything
and I
else?
already went off about snacking, which I had zero intention of going off on. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So hopefully you have found this helpful, and then let us know if you have any awesome meal planning techniques that you have found that work for you. And other than that, if you want to learn how you can feel more productive and focused throughout the day, I invite you to check out our Focused and Fulfilled in 5 Days experience, where you can learn how to stop running on the hamster wheel of being constantly busy and never productive. You can check that out at busybossmama.com/focused. And we will talk with you next time.
Bye.